we're at 3 minutes. Do you have more to add? I mean, we can do that. I just don't want to. I don't want to limit it, but I don't want to turn into filibuster.
I think it would be, I mean, just a 5-minute threshold that would be, soft elements, I think, enforcement necessary.
Yeah. We request that you stay within a 5-minute time.
I think it has to be true, it has to be clearly stated that 5 minutes is the limit, but we don't police it unless it becomes necessary. Because then someone can say, well, you can request all you like, I still got 25 minutes of stuff I'd like to talk about, and we don't have a way to say, unfortunately, that's not the case this evening, we'll need to ask you to step down, which I think we need to have.
Well, what did we said something earlier in
So during the first part, they can still comment about an upcoming, let's say someone has to leave.
They could, if they want to talk, I can't stay on, but I want to talk about, and, I guess we could add that in there in the introduction. However, if you wish to speak on an item that is on the agenda, we will allot time later. If you cannot stay for that agenda item, please state your comments now. And that's.
What's your concern, Chris?
I just think that we're trying to address something that's never really been an issue.
Yeah, well,
it's like we could do that all night.
I
mean, I don't have a problem if we want to stay, like Larry said, try to stay within the time limit. I just think that, or we don't have people being down the door even 10 meetings, let them speak.
There's 15 minutes sitting right out there, another 10, so, yeah.
They've been talking for 2 hours.
Well, they gotta do something to keep themselves awake, I guess. Yeah. All right. So we'll figure out some kind of language for second.
Just clarity, we're going to add some language in this section that allows the public to speak for each item.
After staff presentation for each new business item, for a duration of approximately no more than 5 minutes. No sign, and just name and address for the record.
Sure.
That's it.
No pre-sign-in.
No pre-sign-in, no,
yeah.
Okay, for everyone to do this, right?
Okay.
Okay? Very good. All right.
That was my interest, by the way.
Oh, great. Okay. March, I guess we'll see another round before resolution, right? Or at the point for resolution, yeah. Give enough time.
Another round?
No, see, we'll get the document with the resolution.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Great.
What are we looking for next Monday on that?
No, because the other packet would be going out on tomorrow, and I don't think we can get this
No, we can't.
done
I got it.
tomorrow.
Beginning of January, there we go.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're all right.
No.
That's okay. Yeah, if we said, oh, this is fine just the way it is.
Then I would submit it for you on tomorrow, but there's some things I need to go back and look at.
Sure. Perfect. Final item on the work session agenda tonight is the draft 2013 legislative agenda. Is there a presentation or?
No, the material that you have in front of you reflects the series of meetings that the Johnson County City Administrator, City Managers, and County Manager had to talk about legislative items for their respective organizations. After sending the platform or the agenda issues out, I received the feedback from council members, and it includes some items that were not part of that joint meeting that were critical for the council last year. So those items have been added as items number 11 and 12, as well as the feedback received on the concealed carry law. The items that are here, basically what staff did was look at what you had last year and modified it based on the students' opinions that the city county managers had, as well as the feedback from council members. So any modifications you'd like to make, tonight we'll be having modifications.
I'd like to, I know we've all received emails about, it. I think it's a valid thing, is the form appraisals and the tax implications of that. You know, researching a little bit more, it's something that a lot more states are starting to act on and put regulations in place. And I know it might be a bigger fight than what we can do within City Hall, but put it on a legislative agenda actually at least puts us in a position to say it's something that we can move forward on and ask for that as the lobbyists and other people go to Topeka. So I'm ready to put that on our legislative agenda for next year. Understanding it may not be a fight that we can jump into on our own, but it at least puts us in a position when that becomes more of the forefront because it's happening. I mean, just Google it. Every year there's more states that are starting to tackle this.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to start going down that way. We can't do it on our own, but we can put it as part of our agenda. So when it gets to Topeka, then we're one of those cities that's ready to support those measures.
Yeah, I've done some similar due diligence and also looked at kind of what the county's doing and reached out to commissioners, obviously, and they're kind of in the same boat, you know, to look at that and understand, you know, how they can tackle it.
Right.
At the state level, because, you know.
I think from the local
So,
perspective.
item 11.
No, this would be a new
An
item.
additional item that you.
Yeah. The first step that we can really take is just adding it to our legislative agenda. I don't know if there's more that we can do, but this at least moves us forward in some way, and we can at least begin taking an approach. I know, Larry, you have some thoughts there, but is there anything you'd like to add?
I was the only person, I think everyone was here when we talked about it over the budget, and we talked about the legislative agenda, and I was the one that brought it up, and you guys all said, no, we don't need to put it on there.
Well, that was
It was a work session, actually.
And the,
But I
well, it
agree.
came down to the discussion. We used to have a legislative agenda item that said, we have real property sitting in hangars
Right.
in our airport, and we'd like to get the revenue from that real property. And we'd like the state to modify the statute to do that. And it's been on our agenda,
Right.
but, you know, it was, you know, one of those snowballs.
Sure.
That, you know, its likelihood of survival was very, very slim. And that's what basically came to on this, is that, the likelihood of that changing the county appraiser more authority to be able to enact that is not there, and that the current authority within the statute that's given the county appraiser is sufficient to address that. In other words, the county appraiser has the tools to come out and say, nah, that's not farming.
Right.
You know, that's not a crop.
I don't think that's the case, and that's why Mike and I were debating that, Mike Press, when he was here.
I mean, that
was
we
my
can
whole-
put it
that was
on
the
there.
argument is we need to know, he kept saying, well, the current law doesn't allow for it. And my argument was, well, that's what the legislative agenda is for, is to put it on there. And for whatever reason, he won that argument, and as I recall, I was the only person there that wanted it on the agenda. I could be wrong about that, but I
I recall the conversation.
I supported it then, I support it now, I think.
I mean, the issue is the futility. And you know, it's whether or not it would, I mean, one might say that the futility of concealed carry is there as well, based on the makeup of the legislature, but
The issue was that right now, the appraiser can't do anything about it, right?
The law
says that basically, someone says they send a document in and they say, I've used this as agricultural property, they get the property tax as agricultural use. And in fact, as a citizen, you don't have the right to look at that information, to look at that lease. And as is commonly, you know, done, someone will take a bale of hay out to a residential piece of property and take a picture of it and
Send it in.
send it in and say,